Continue. Where are we holding? Where are we holding? We're holding in the middle of Vice Test. So what did the Rebbe say now? So when it comes to this kind of victory, so then the king squanders and throws out without a calculation, without a cheshbon, all the oitres, the treasures that are not even regularly even seen, never mind squandered. Now, what is this treasure? What's this treasure? That's, now he's going to define it. So we're up to
which footnote?
Okay, huh? But which footnote? It's just above 101, a little bit above, a few lines above that. So let's start here. Let's go to Lachain Bavaz Vizim as Kola and Yonim. So for this kind of victory, going back a few lines, like a quarter way down the ois. So all of the treasures are squandered. So much more so that the king himself puts his own life in danger. Because this is a victory, without repeating this whole explanation now, goes beyond the regular level of Adam. This is a war that touches the depth, the essence of the melech, of the kingdom of the people, and therefore it's beyond all cheshbonos. Normally we would watch these treasures, not to show them, and certainly not to squander them under normal circumstances. Now it's all being thrown out, given. Mamshich Levani goes on to explain that Rebbe is explaining the previous Rebbe's Maamer here. There's two kinds of avodah. Iskafia v'sapche, right? Inyan is iskafia u'sheyeshna adayim benagid. Iskafia, there is an enemy. You got to defeat it. The Eibush has to help. So that's what's that? The engaging the world. That's a level of a likus where the world is created. God's concealed to the point the creation feels independent and has to be battled with. And the Eibush helps. How does the Eibush help? Because he gives you the oitres. What's the oitres? What comes out here is that the oitres are given in the avodah v'iskafia in order to lead to isapcha. If it would remain iskafia alone, no. It's got to lead to the total victory, total transformation. But it starts even in the battle as we are holding the avodah v'iskafia. Where the Yitzhar is real, and temptation is real, and the world is real. So the Eibush gives us the oitres in this final battle. Why? And what is the oitres? So he now defines it. Please follow along. This is a few steps to this puzzle. It says in Gemara Shabbos and like in Gemara Brachas, Hashem is nothing in his world. A treasure of Yireh Shamayim. That's the only thing that's valuable in God's world. So if we have fear of heaven, Hashem has something in his world of value. Shenem, as it said, clear, Pashup Shat. Shenem, Moshe says to Yidden, V'ati Yisrael, now Yidden, what does Hashem ask from you? All he asks is to fear him. Everything is orchestrated by heaven except for the fear of heaven. So what's precious to Hashem is what we contribute, what we give, our service of him, and that is our fear of God. So far, the Oitzer is associated with the fear of Hashem, the awe of God. Not finished. And the Pasuk says in Eov, and he said to man, Hein yiras Hashem hi chachma. The fear of God is the ultimate wisdom. And the word hein, behold, yechidi ha'yirah ba'olam. He's quoting here from Rashi. I think Rashi brings him, I'm not mistaken, the word hein means singular in Greek, some other foreign language. So singular, unique is the fear of God. That's the true Chachma. So what's the Chachma we speak of that is singular? Yechida, that's the words of Rashi. And it seems that the Rebbe is hinting or saying that Yechida, we all know, is the soul essence of the Neshama. It's the soul essence of Torah. It's Primis HaTorah. Chassidus, as we have learned at length, is the Yechida of Torah. And Rashi says that Yiras Hashem is Yechidahi Hayira Ba'olam. The Chachma we speak of. Again, let's get this straight. Let's get this clear. The pasuk says, "Hein Yiras Hashem Hi Chachma." Unique is the fear of God that is Chachma. What is this wisdom that is unique? That is associated with the fear and awe of God? The Koyal Pnimis HaTorah. Pnimis HaTorah is a Yira Yilah, induces the higher level of awe, the unique
Sorry.
awe.
Pnimis Hayira, not Pnimis HaTorah.
Pnimis HaYira, yeah, which is Pnimis HaTorah. Yira Yilah, so that's the Chachma here. So we're saying the Eiches is Chassidus. Chassidus that is revealed in the world that induces the Yiri law, the higher awe of God. Before Chassidus was basically, if I don't do what I do, there's consequence, there's punishment. There's hell to pay, quite literally. Then Chassidus revealed it's about a relationship with God, God's desire to be part of us. This is Yiri law, an awe, a wonder. So these are the oitzres that were revealed in the final generation, Chassidus. As I mentioned to you, the Rebbe said it, another Fabrengen, to the Friedrich Rebbe, that the Kote de Burim, and I'm reading the Rishimis and so on now. It is amazing, incredible, the inner story, the secrets, the insights, never revealed before. How much more so, as it were, the Rebbe's Chassidus, the Kote Sichos and the Maamerim. So this is the treasure. The treasure is that higher, deeper awe of God. Where do we come to this? To have this deeper awe of God. This is granted to us through the Rebbeim and through Chassidus. Clear? This is the Chachma we speak of.
Where do you see it in the words?
It's right there. Where don't you see it in the words? Yiras Hashem hi Chachma. Yechidi Ayira Ba'olam, the Koyal Pnimis Ayira Yira Yilah. That's the Chachma. Pnimis Ayira. And what engenders that? What's the Eitzes that Rebbe is talking about? It's Chassidus. And then the Melech himself, ultimately. We are granted the possibility, it's more than possible, it has to be, to have this truly awesome appreciation and relationship with Hashem. And it's something we will never access on our own. It's granted to us, and the Shom is unlocked. Chassidus poured. The lowest generation, the lowest, that's us. Foot soldier on the front, simple fellas, are granted Yira Ilah. That's Chassidus. That's what the Rebbe gives. That's Yiras Hashem Hi Chachma. So this gives the koyach that he should be victorious. Initially, first resisting it, the Yetzer Hara, but it can't stop there. The bizbuz, the oitzeres were not given for skafia alone, because even without the oitzeres, a person can have self-control, knowing that he's going to pay for it. There's a cheshbon, there's a heaven, there's a hell. He knows how he's going to feel after he sins. Worthless, dirty, sully, doesn't pay. Person has his head on straight, doesn't sin. It doesn't, a bit of iskafia, doesn't need the oitzeres. There are pious Jews without the oitzeres, without the treasures, without the revelation of Chassidus. Just a simple calculation. Yiddishkeit is beautiful, it works. It's a recipe for a nice, wholesome, fulfilling life in this world and the next. You don't need oitzeres for that. Just the Shulchan Aruch is enough. Follow it, you see it works. Here we're getting the oitzeres because the kavan is not just the skafia, a little restraint in order to gain to plunder, as you said before, to get the sparks, to get the booty, to get the gain. It's not a question of gain, but it has to lead to his hapcha, which is hapcha is the kavanah el yoina, not your gain, but what Hashem's desire is, and that's total victory. Meaning, Hashem revealed in every part of the world, and starting with your life, and everything has to surrender to that and be transformed. So therefore, the oitzres are given for that objective. Beginning, akoponim bevin shel iskafia. On avoid the iskafia bavad ein tachlis, but avoid of iskafia just resisting is not the tachlis, not the ultimate objective. Your enemy can't be resisted and exploited. This isn't a question of booty and plunder, your gain, but rather he's got to be transformed because everything in God's world is part of his purpose. To the point that there is no enemy at all. This is Tzivus this is Moshe Rabbeinu, this is Yichudilo, this is the way Atzilus is. We need Atzilus here. There's nothing independent. It doesn't disappear. It's tofel, it's translucent. It's all there to express the truth of the Eibishter. As he explains in the Maamer there, tall order, but this is where we're at. This is the difference I feel about Veda. Now, between the Benyani and the Tzaddik, and even though we learn in Tanya that all we expected is to be the Benyani, and that's enough and stop there. Nonetheless, it says in Tanya you have to try to be the Tzaddik. And now that Rebbe is saying, never mind try. On some level, you got to get there, and we're all going to get there. On some level, transformation has to take place now. And we're seeing it. Again, enemies becoming allies on all levels. Gashmish used to be the enemy. And now technology and secularism was the enemy. It's all being used in Avodas Hashem. So there's elements, more than elements. It's really what defines our generation. So that's the Avodah of the Tzaddik, as it were, which is the Tachlis. Is about resisting and fighting. He says in Tanya, his whole life could be that. But now we're at the end of the line. You already did the Avodah. Been there, done that, war's over. Nothing to fight about anymore. He's not called one engaged in serving. He's not someone serving. He is a servant. That defines him. She's saying this transformation, and the Rebbe is saying that's where we have to be. That's in Milchama, to which Chassidus was given to us and poured. Like we said the other day, it engenders what it's embarrassing to say. This is ridiculous. And not only is it ridiculous, you take this very forth, this very drive, this very mishagas, the here and now, the shtuz, the lumazeh, and make it the here and now of Kedusha. And the sheker that defines us. I think, therefore I am. In reality, that's the biggest lie. Everything else, who knows? There is a creation. God says so, there is. To think that the whole world revolves around me, that's the biggest lie. Don't destroy that lie, transform it. It does revolve around you. Hashem needs you, you're everything. And not only that, your guf, your body, that Rebbe explains in the first Maamer Barichas, is created directly from Atzmos Mahus, who is the I that I am. That's why you feel the I that I am. So transform that. This feeling of the whole world centers around you. Yeah, the responsibility of everything I do in my life. And every year the whole world revolves around him. And by extension, every human being, Adam was the universal man. One person, the whole world revolved around him. That's the truth and never changed. So all this has to be transformed. This is his hapcha. And this is already happening now. It's the language now. It's the sense now. And these are the two meanings of the pasuk. Says it's a pasuk, right? We looked at the previous Maamer in Shoftim after the victory over Sisera. So Dvoira and Barak, Dvoira composed a song of praise, And in that prayer, she says, Sitkas pirzoine b'Yisrael. Now, thanks to Hashem, we can sit in open cities without fearful of attack. Sitkas pirzoine means Hashem has granted us his righteousness, and pirzoine b'Yisrael, we can sit in open cities. That's the first touch. Pirzoine meloshen process teisev Yerushalayim. This alludes to the future era. The Navi says when Jerusalem will no longer be a walled city, there's no enemy. That's one meaning. That's one meaning. The word tzitkas pirzoine b'Yisrael. Then the Gemara says another thing. The Gemara himself gam meloshen pizur. Pizur means spread. One is open, and the other one is spread, dispersed. The Gemara says, the Eibusha did its tzedakah with the Yidden. It's this pasuk that the Gemara is expounding on. Dispersed among the nations of the world. So explain the portion of the Pshat is if God forbid, threatened the genocide in one place, they're talking Pamayim Tzara, then Jews will survive elsewhere. That's the simple meaning. The deeper meaning is as follows. The fact that the two explanations in the same word, it means open and spread. It means that they're really one thing. And that is, how do we get to an open world, an embracing world, where there's no walls and no fear of marauders and invaders? How do we do that? The first touch, the idea of being dispersed amongst the nations. What is that? Why did God do that? Why did God disperse us? So the Gemara there says that what's the purpose of the dispersal? On the surface, you sinned, you're punished. But there's a deeper intent to attract the Goli, so the Yidden went in the Golos all over the world to attract. It should be added to their ranks, the Gadim. You do a punishment, it's not the explanation. We don't just mean literal converts. The number of converts is not justified relative to the suffering the Bnei Yisrael, the Yidden suffered b'shiyas man Golos in this long, protracted Golos. Very few Gadim over the millennia. So it's much more than that. It's that too. We mean the sparks of godliness that's in the world. This is the idea of a convert. Convert as a holy spark, a holy soul. The process of conversion merely redeems. Because and so on, all these sparks are found in Dvarim Gashmim, Shalom Medinas, in those countries, Shabem Goli soul where Yidden went. And many stories, story of Baal Shem Tov, that a Yid with his Talmud got lost, spent Rosh Hashanah in a place, and he was distraught. There was a storm in the sea, and the end was, Baal Shem Tov said to me, by you going there, and you're davening, you elevated all the sparks, and thanks to you, no Jews have to be exiled there. You took care of it. That's also shlichus. It was the final mop-up operations. Like it says in the Medrash Hashirim, one of you is exiled to Barbaria. That's where the word barbarian comes from. It's actually not a Hebrew word, I don't think. It's a place, a mythical place. So the message is echad, one. So I just told you, it takes one Jew, and he does the avodah as he should. He elevates all of the sparks. So when a Jew is involved in secular matters, for his own needs, he's in business and whatever it is, he's a doctor, in science, whatever area. Why is he there? Because his material needs. That's why he's engaging the world. But he uses it for kedusha. So he ends up bread on the table. So he becomes blood and flesh of his own flesh. He's quoting from Tanya. With the koyach of this food, he serves the Eibishter as a merchant, and he extracts this spark that had been controlled by the spiritual angel of that Medina, and converts it, as it were, transforms it, and elevates it, the spark, the Shosha Makeri Ba'avuka, to the root and the source in the torch from which the spark emanated, from which the spark flew. The spark flies from a torch. This is B'diak. A spark doesn't fly from a singular flame. A spark flies from a torch, from an amalgamation of different sources. It's explaining Chassidus. This is how the sparks fell from Elam Atoyu. So we elevate the sparks to the torch, that to bow and become one with the very body of the king. That's the first stage in Avodah, to extract the sparks, the booty that's gained. That's iskafia. Then we come to the second stage. That's the then we come to tzidkas pizroin prozis teishev Yerushalayim. Then we come to the pizroin that prozis teishev Yerushalayim shemeir ala ma'im dematzah. We reach the stage after the battle, after the iskafia. The enemy finally realizes, and we realize, what are we fighting about? Davish is the only truth. This is my truth. And the battle is over, and I want to be part of this. We don't need any walls anymore that protect the enemy and the opponent. Their whole identity as an opposition is no longer. That's transformation. That's the ultimate, and that's now. And for this is the Eitzos we're given. For colds and Nazadin, and this happens through a great and mighty battle till the end of the final stage of Golus, which is us now. Is the Bizbaz Eitzos Malishum Tam the Cheshbon. It's not in order to, it's everything now. The mind of Mitzvah Magbulim, beyond all limits of Gam the Kedusha, even of holiness, that protests. Why? Abishter, what are you doing? Hashem overrides every protest because it's each protest. You would never do it. You would never squander. You would never show them, and yet he does so. The angels protest and heaven protests, but they too are beginning to understand that what Abishter desires is a dira here, and they too will connect to the essence of Hashem only via the dira here. Hence, Yitzchak Kislev, the acquiescence of heaven, stage by stage, till our final stage, which is now. And the Rebbe is insistent that now there is no opposition, not in heaven anymore and not on earth. We need to just do what we have to do. And all opposition melts and moreover is transformed. It's up exclusively to us, which we can see before our eyes.